One for Joe. Joe will be over there.
So, what is Let's Talk? I've got a lot of friends who bottle things up, who are too scared to share what they're really feeling. I wish they did.
Beautiful.
I've lost mates from depression, and I've lost mates from not talking. I wish they had have. And over my life, I've found the more I talk about things that really worry me, the easier things get.
Yeah, can you hear that?
Let's Talk is a project that I hope helps people realise that we all have struggles. And as I've filmed and recorded and listened,
Thank you for doing this.
it's really helped me.
Great to see you.
And I really hope it helps my kids, and that it helps you and your mates.
Take one.
So, if you need to, let's talk.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk.
Okay. Majak Daw and his family fled Sudanese civil war.
Ready to go?
Good to go?
Yeah.
Initially lonely, Maj connected to his new homeland via football.
How many seats do you reckon it hold?
Majak's story is as powerful as they come.
How are you?
Good to have you. How are you, mate?
Thank you for doing this.
And this episode is at times harrowing.
Are you nervous?
I'm nervous.
Oh, yeah?
What are you?
Yeah, a little bit nervous.
Are you?
Yeah.
You happy to talk?
Let's go.
All right, let's talk.
Yeah.
You were rookie drafted in 2010.
Yeah.
Suddenly, everyone knew Majak Daw. Some people cope with the attention really well, and some people relish it, others don't. You've always been relatively shy and anxious. It didn't sit comfortably with you, did it?
No, I didn't. I mean, I don't know, pick 9 in the rookie draft, not even in the national draft. So I was way down in the pecking order, and suddenly coming into the system and all this attention gets thrust on you. I don't know, no one ever told me how to deal with it. Even before I got drafted, it wasn't something I was concerned about, having a profile or people noticing you in the street. Yeah, it was really hard to deal with. All I wanted to do is just play footy. And I guess I'm reserved. I'm a reserved person by nature. I just couldn't get my head around it, just the obsession. But as I got older, Heath McLachlan helped me a fair bit, all that stuff, and yeah, I just learned to be comfortable with it.
So, when did your life become complicated in terms of the depression and the anxiety to a point where it became too much? When did you feel like life's becoming too overwhelming?
I think it was that year, 2018, which is interesting because all these years, in and out of the team, no continuity with footy. I finally completed a full pre-season, which is something I've been searching for, for 7 or 8 odd years. And Scotty gives me an opportunity to play down back. I've never enjoyed playing footy that much in my life. Finally contributing to the team, not having to worry if my spot's going to be there next week. And then I think 3 games in, I cracked my navicular, so that was heartbreaking. And we decided not to operate and just play the year. I mean, in hindsight, I wish I looked after myself a bit better, because I think after 3/4 time, after the injections wore off, it was quite painful, and then going to sleep that night, be up till 3 in the morning, then go to sleep. That really took a toll on me, and towards the end of that year, in the off season, decided to operate on it, and it's all those feelings. Am I going to be fit enough by the start of the season? Competition's up for grabs. It was just overwhelming, and I think my coping mechanism at the time was just to drink heavily, which raised up some issues with my relationship at the time, and I think that's when it all started, really.
Had you drunk a lot throughout your life, or is that when you started drinking not to enjoy a glass of wine or a beer, but just to drink to escape?
Yeah, so both mum and dad, they don't drink, no one drinks at home, so it wasn't something that I grew up with. But yeah, from 2018 onwards, that year, I just drink for no reason. So.
And friends were saying to you, slow up.
Yeah.
Did you know you were drinking too much?
Yeah, I did, but I think just human nature. You just brush it off, really. Yeah.
And you and your partner had experienced some sadness with a pregnancy that ended with a miscarriage.
Yeah, that was. I think just seeing her in that state, because we were overseas at the time, and there was nothing that I could do with it. There's nothing that I could do about it, but that just made everything worse, even for me. I think at the time she needed a bit of support, and my arms around her, and vice versa. And I think we started growing a little bit apart. So, yeah.
So then in December of that year, after you'd got back and you'd started drifting apart, on December the 18th, you tried to take your own life 3 times.
Yeah.
How do you get to that point where that is, in your mind, the best decision you can make?
I think it's the, what's the saying? The straw that broke the camel's back. Because I was catching up with a psych and a psychiatrist at the time, and I wasn't really being truthful with them in those sessions.
What were you hiding?
I think just being bare and just letting them know how much I was struggling,
What were you struggling with most at the time? Relationship, loss of a pregnancy, miscarriage?
Anxiety.
Depression.
Yeah, and just not... I think I didn't even want to go into the footy club some weeks, and I was just worried what type of attention that would bring on.
Yeah.
And even that night when I tried to attempt to take my life, just the excessive alcohol use and just withdrawn from everyone. In hindsight, I wish I could have, called someone for help or let someone know, even mum and dad.
So with the day and how it unravelled, and you're intoxicated, but 3 attempts over a number of hours to take your life, that gives you a number of opportunities not to keep going down that same track. It says a lot about how unhappy you were.
Yeah. And I think it's just like I was saying earlier, just didn't have the ability to recognise, how bad things, like it's even try to snap out of it. I just think how you become impatient too. When's this going to end?
I need the pain to end now.
Yeah.
And that was the best option.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I regretted it straight away, but it was just too late. Even turn around to try and grab onto the rail, that was pretty hard, because by then it was too late. So.
Is there any hesitation?
Nah, it's so hard to even say that. But no, there was no hesitation. I think just everything is just mounted up, and just it's not that I hated anyone or hated the world, but I was just in so much pain.
And it wasn't one thing?
No, it wasn't one thing. But if I look back, and I don't want to say if there was another alternative, but there's always another alternative, and that is to, it was hard to do at the time, cry out for help or call a friend. I definitely learned the hard way. And, you talk about gratitude and being grateful. I mean, survived that, and I was about 2 metres away from a pylon under the bridge, so, very lucky.
Emergency services come, you wake up in hospital.
Yeah.
And you think, thank God.
Yeah.
I was unsuccessful.
Yeah. a lot of things were a blur the first 4 days. I mean, the first couple of days before I got operated on, because I knew what had happened, but the hardest thing about it was, just say I was in a bed this big and there was so many people in a tiny room. That was one of the hardest things about it. And even some family members, just saying, how could you do this to us? And but I was in no state to even, respond.
How are you now? Do you wake up happy or sometimes happy?
I mean, some days I'm tired, but yeah, I mean, there's so many good things in my life, and being a dad, and that's really fulfilling.
He's the miracle that came from your journey, isn't he?
He is. Hendrix, he just made the whole journey, the whole rehab so much easier.
3 now.
3.
Love of your life. He has funny conversations with you. What did he say to you the other day?
He's getting really curious now. His dad, you're black, mum's white, so then what am I? So I just said, look,
you're gorgeous.
You're both of us, which is great. And, it's come a long way. Obviously they grow up so quickly, but, you're just so loved and, yeah.
How now do you keep yourself mentally healthy?
Structure. Spending a lot of time with Hendrix, trying to teach him things, and like spending time with the professionals. It's part of my routine. It's just something I have to do if I need to duck out of work to go see a psych or go tend to my appointment. I'm not embarrassed to say that's what I'm doing. Where in the past, I remember, in 2018, when I was catching up with the psych and all that stuff, it wasn't a secret. I mean, the right people knew, but if some of my teammates asked me, why are you ducking out of training? Or are you ducking out of weight? I'd have to make something up.
You saying, I've got to go see my psych, to me is no different from you saying, I've got to go see the dentist. That wouldn't have been the case 5 years ago. It wasn't for you.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get to a point where everyone feels comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully the perception is changing. I think it is. I think a lot more people, share their struggles and it just normalises it. Everyone goes through it.
Do you think if you'd been open early, you would have avoided that night?
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're at a spot where you're as happy as you've been for a while, but constantly working.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a number one thing for me. I just got to keep working at it. Even some of the sessions that I go and speak with my psych, they're not. Some days they're 15 minutes. Some days they go for half an hour. But I know I'm just I'm doing that for me and I'm doing that for my family.
But you don't fear that you can go back to where you were?
No, I don't. And it's not that I feel comfortable with it, but I just know there are enough tools now that I've got to be able to help me. So
everyone's got to have the tools, or at least access to the tools.
Yeah.
When the moment comes,
pick up
a person to
ring
call
someone. Yeah.
What do you hope your phenomenal story helps people with?
The thing about mental health is it can affect anyone. It's not just it's not just one particular group of people. So if people can, start getting the help that they need, whether that's talking to a friend or someone they feel comfortable with. All those things I did. I'm glad I'm not that person anymore, because they're pretty horrific things, you know, to do to yourself. And I guess the circumstances you end up finding yourself, and just, if I could go back and do something about it a lot earlier, I would, because not too many people can get as lucky as I am, you know, even sit here and talk about it.
Well, too many people get to the stage that you're at, but don't get the chance to reassess. And I'm just so grateful you're here.
Thanks, mate.
And I'm sure you are. Thank you on every front. You're just a magnificent human, and I love you.
My pleasure, mate. Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Life's good.
It is.
For more Let's Talk interviews, please visit afl.com.au/on-demand and search Let's Talk, or visit aia.com.au/Let's Talk. And the conversations will also be available wherever you access your AFL podcasts. And if you're experiencing mental ill health, we do encourage you to reach out for support. That support may be from family, friends, your GP, or a mental health professional. You can also seek further information and advice from the free and confidential support services listed on the Mental Health and Wellbeing Hub at play.afl/clubhelp.